right? Don't turn away from the signs. And this is why in this verse, chapter 31, verse 32, let's look at the end of the verse. God tells us that nobody denies his signs except for he who is an ungrateful traitor, right? Think about this. And the reality is we can't, if we have lived our lives and we have been at all attentive, we would have seen these signs around us, things happen in our lives which, have just directed us, just opened us up and made us realize there is something there. There is something that is controlling my life, directing my life, and so on and so forth.
So basically, if I don't believe the bullshit that you just fed to me, that means that I'm ungrateful and a traitor in some kind of way. This is called a poisoning the well fallacy. Basically, it's when you preemptively sling an ad hominem at somebody in order to poison the well or to taint somebody's view of that person or of that person's response or anything that they say. So now the audience is going to think, well, unless I'm ungrateful and a traitor, then I guess I have to accept these things as a sign. Or the person that says that these things are not really signs from God, he's just a shitty fucking person that doesn't believe in God and is a traitor. Something. I don't know. I feel like this is a very shitty tactic, and I get that it's in your holy book and that's why you're doing it, but the fact that you see this in your holy book and you would obviously not like it if somebody did that to you, but yet you still continue to do it, I feel like that might say something about you.
And when we've seen this, a grateful person, when he sees these blessings in his life, his hands, his feet, his teeth, his eyes, when he realizes these blessings and he just doesn't go through life like this person who's sleeping. When he realizes these signs, he's grateful. And when you're grateful, you have to be grateful to someone. You can't just be grateful for the sake of being grateful, right?
Well, I mean, you can totally be grateful just for the sake of being grateful. You don't have to be grateful to somebody, especially not some kind of omniscient, omnipresent somebody that's just always there. But also, I would love to know why you think that, like, my teeth are only there because of God. Other than you think that God created us, I really don't see any reason to think that God is necessary for my teeth to exist. And I don't walk around like I'm sleeping or something and not noticing all these signs of God. These are just simply not signs of God. You have yet to provide any kind of evidence or even argumentation that suggests that any of these things are only there because God exists. You're just presupposing that God exists, and that's why things are the way that they are. And that's just not a good argument whatsoever. Of course, here I go being all fucking rational and shit again, and ungrateful and traitorous.
And it only makes sense. The logical person knows that there must be a higher power, a creator who is directing my life, who gives me everything, who made me, and he is truly grateful, this person. But God is telling us those people, right, that deny his signs are truly ungrateful, and they're truly traitors because they turn away, even after the signs come to them.
I reject that these things are signs of God, so I guess that means I'm some kind of traitor. I don't know. And crazy. Definitely crazy. Fucking crazy, out my ass kind of crazy, I guess. Fuck me for being rational, obviously.
And what's even more powerful in this verse, if we look at the beginning of this verse, God highlights or points us towards another one of his signs, a very powerful sign. It's an experience. God says when some people are at sea and these waves start coming, high waves which cover them and shade them, and the boats are rocking and they don't know if they're going to make it out alive. At this point, people turn towards God in sincere faith, in sincere religion, and they worship God and they pray to God and they ask God to save them. Ask yourselves the question, in these situations, what logical proof are you basing your belief on? What logical proof are you relying on that's convinced you that God exists and he's the only one that can help you?
So the best that I can tell, this is a straw man argument that he's using here. Although, I mean, it does kind of exist in his Quran verse. He's basically saying that, when you're in danger, you definitely pray to God for help and you beg for his help and everything like that. But, I mean, I just don't see that happening with an atheist. Now, when I was a Christian, I would definitely do that. Times would get tough and I'd pray to God and I'd make promises to God. I'll go to church every single day. If you'll just allow me to get an A on this test, God, I would do that as a Christian. But obviously the reason why I got an A on the test was because I studied my ass off, not because God magically implanted the information in my mind while I was sleeping. So you ask me to think about what I would do in this situation, and I would definitely shit my pants if I was on a boat with like the waves that are about to like engulf the ship and everything. I would think I'm about to die. I might as well shit myself at least one more time in my life. And the reason why I get the feeling that he's talking about an atheist in this situation and automatically praying to God is that he's like, well, what in this situation has given you the scientific knowledge that God exists for you to pray to him? And this just seems like a nonsensical straw man argument, because I don't know a single atheist out there that immediately becomes religious when they suffer these kinds of hardships or their life is in danger. This is along the same lines as there's no atheists in foxholes. This is just demonstrably false. There are definitely atheists in foxholes, and they don't immediately become religious when they start taking on fire.
When you're on a plane, you know, so many thousands of feet up and you experience turbulence and the plane is rocking and you don't know what's going on, and you start praying, even as an atheist, at that moment you start praying internally. What proof has come to you? What logical argument has come to you? What data has come to you that's made you believe that God exists and I need to pray to him because he's the only one that can help me?
That legit never happens. Well, I guess I can't really say that because I don't know everything that's happened on every single plane that is, crashed. But given that atheists don't believe in a God, it doesn't make any sense that an atheist would start praying to God. Although you do have some kind of caveat there with, well, they internally start praying. As if to say that, oh, they're praying, even if they don't recognize that they're praying. They acknowledge God, even though they don't recognize that they're acknowledging God. That's just you saying that you know them better than they know themselves. And I'm not going to sit here and claim that I know anybody better than they know themselves. But as far as using this anecdotal, made-up straw man of a situation in order to prove that atheists do this, I just don't see any reason to think an atheist would do this. And even if they did, so what? So what if an atheist, they're on a plane, they're going down and everything like that, and then they just immediately become religious just in case? What would that mean? It wouldn't mean anything. It would mean that the person got afraid and they relied on what they had known all their lives, because most of the time atheists were religious at one point, at least in the US where I'm from, obviously. So, I mean, for them to go back and rely on something that they've known for many, many years would be expected in that situation. So I still don't understand what your point would be, other than maybe you think that there's just some kind of innate belief inside everybody. Everybody wants to believe in a God or knows that a God exists. It's just that atheists suppress that shit. I hear that a lot from Christians, and I guess I hear it from Muslims now too, but I feel like that's a very disingenuous way to make the argument that God has to exist just because people know God exists.